Ja. Let's see here.
Yep, just came live, Maury.
Awesome. 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 All right. Praise Yah. Y'all know what to do. Go ahead and give everybody a great big Shabbat Shalom, please.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
family.
shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Family, love you.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom,
shalom.
family.
Shabbat
Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Praise Yah.
Shabbat shalom.
I'm going to go ahead and give some of the guidelines again. Just, you always got to do it. Got to remind people. First and foremost, thank you for joining me this Sabbath day, this day of rest and time of fellowship here on this platform. Greatly appreciate it. Good to see everybody, or at least hear your voice. Man, it's been an interesting week. A lot of great things have happening for Israel. A lot of prayers been happening for Israel. I've seen a lot of fasting for Israel, which has been awesome. And I appreciate everyone's due diligence to make that happen. All right. So thank you for joining us here again today. Please make sure you have mic awareness and camera awareness. All right. So mic awareness, understand that you have family, you have children, you have, pets, you have things that may come up, situations. If you're not speaking, try to go ahead and mute yourself. If you have something you want to say, raise your hand, and then I will call on you, or give a cue or opportunity for you to freely just jump in and speak. This is a very interactive fellowship. This is a time for us, I'm talking to you, to join in and fellowship with your fam. Let your voice be heard. And, we're not always going to agree on everything, but make sure that you have the utmost respect for each other. All right. That's just what it comes down to. All right. Have that self-control and balance, even when you don't agree on the same thing. All right. Camera awareness. Be aware of what you're doing. All right. I haven't seen anything real crazy lately, so I'm glad for that. But yeah, don't bring us in the bathroom with you. It's happened in the past. No belching, no farting openly just because you just feel like letting it loose for the whole entire world to hear it recorded.
No silly faces.
So, you want to do silly faces? That's all right. I don't care about silly faces. That's on you though. That's on you. Don't clean your pistol. Okay, don't be cleaning your pistol. That's not cool right now. Don't do that. Don't start sharpening knives. That's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? It's happened. That's why I'm saying it. It's happened before. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. All right. Don't be getting turned up. Now I got me a little ginger ale thing over here. That's not no liquor though. So, but that's ginger ale. But don't be getting turned up on the spot. All right. Praise y'all though. It's a lot going on in the world. I'm glad to see this all happening. We're live now. One thing that was said that I was just thinking about, earlier, and I wanted to speak on, but I'll speak on it now. It's okay. Do not be afraid of the tactics of the enemy. Do not be afraid of intimidation, threats to your life, your body, your mind. Okay? We have to shut everyone and everything out and focus on the Most High Yah, and focus on the nation of Israel. Know that not all Israel's Israel. All right, there's some Hebrews out here that's trifling. They on some Judas level for real. Understand that our open enemies, don't trust them, period. Just don't. You know what I'm saying? You be led and moved by the Most High Yah in regards to how you move and deal with these other people. But listen, let's get established. Let the Most High do what he's going to do. When Mashiach come on the scene and does what he's going to do, it's 100% on him in his court. Whatever you say, that's what it is, and we good. Until that time, don't be a fool to keep going in the same cycle of trusting our enemies, cleaving to our enemies, and then you shocked, you destroyed. I was talking with several people this past week about how this is not the first time we as a Hebrew people have awakened to who we are and the need and importance of self-sufficiency and coming together. There's been cycles and cycles that's been happening. They reset us. They keep trying to reset. Is it surprising that they still on some talk about voter suppression laws and voting rights bills and stupid stuff like that? Don't nobody care about no voting rights bill. Nobody cares about voting for none of y'all people. Nobody. But that's a trick of the enemy, our open enemy in the natural, to sit there and try to get you, especially like, I'm prayerful. I'm praying. I'm trying to hold back for the young people that they're ignorant. They just don't know. And I'm not saying that as in they're stupid or, whatever. They just don't know. And part of the issue is that there's lack of communication between us as a people. We barely talk to each other as it is, let alone generationally. Rarely will you have the older generation speaking to the younger generation. So now you have the younger generation that think they know everything. And you're going to repeat the same mistakes that have been made in the past. Are we surprised that you can go find and pull up some video from 60 years ago and they're saying some of the same things we're saying today? So you have to ask the question, what happened between 1962, 1965, 1968, and today in 2022? Something happened. Assassinations happened. Infiltration happened. Payoff happened. You got folks chasing the bag. And the lie was sold to our people for the last 30 years that all you had to do was vote your way out of the problem. Don't self-assemble. Put the rifles down. Okay? Break up the family. Trust in me. I'm your daddy, Uncle Sam. You don't need a man. You could be that strong black independent woman. You don't ever hear about a strong white independent woman or a strong Mexican independent woman. We the only ones running around here talking about, I'm a strong black independent woman. I don't need no man. Because Uncle Sam is your daddy. Uncle Sam says, I got you. You want some money? I'll give you some money, but you got to be broke, and you can't have that man in your family. He can't be in your life. And if you try to play me and have him around sneaking behind my back anyway, I'm going to throw him in jail and you in jail. That's how Uncle Sam get down. So the family, the Hebrew family has been broken. And the black woman, the Hebrew Israelite daughter of Zion has been incentivized to go ahead and be independent from her family, to be independent from her man. Then you have this musical culture, thought culture, that perpetuates this belief that it's okay, acceptable, and even a good thing to be that side piece. You could be as ratchet as any ratchet man. He out there in these streets. You could be out in these streets. Right? And that's what's been happening. And then we're told, if you want something, vote for me. I don't care which side you vote on, but you got to vote Democrat. Right? And the crazy thing about it is I know that most Hebrews, regardless if they're conservative, which most of us are conservative anyway, conservative or liberal in your ideology, are identified, on paper at least, as a Democrat. You might be the most gangster conservative on earth, but you still recognized as a Democrat. And I'll talk about it because I literally care nothing about left or right or none of these janky folks. Okay? Because I'm not voting for none of these people. I'm not voting for which master's going to be nicer to me. Okay? I'm not going to do that. But that's our situation that we have going on as a people. You know what I mean? And these people are put in place, are put in powers of authority to rule over us, to influence us to self-destruction. All right? Everything they do is on wicked level stuff, to the point where they're talking about, they had this big dude talking about, oh, he's the first dude that had, not he ain't the first, but he the first dude that has a pig heart transplant. You already know you're disgusted. I'm disgusted. So they got pig heart transplants now, and they got like pig kidney transplants now. That's the level of abomination and chimeraness they own. They own some stuff like that. They crazy. All right? Like, leave all these folks alone. You want to be with them people, then go be with them. Nasty. Nasty. Absolutely nasty. Despicable. All right? But we as a people, we have to come together. We have to be self-sufficient. And again, we got to pray for our young people. We have to talk to our young people. All right. Those of you that are older, those of you that are in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, with some wisdom to you, because you could be an old fool too. But most of y'all got some wisdom and can speak on some stuff. You need to speak to the generations. Like, the younger people need to be open to listen and humble themselves and be like, hey, they made it this far. They done seen some things that I probably have no clue about. Let's sit at their feet and listen to the wisdom that they can kind of impart to us. What happened back then? What happened? What happened with the civil rights movement? How'd that get turned around and reframed? The narrative got reframed. We weren't fighting for no civil rights. We were fighting for our right to stop being mistreated and abused. And they just shifted the narrative around. They shifted everything around. They made things apply to other people. Okay, then we became African American. They keep renaming us and shifting things around. Now we're persons of color, women of color, all right? And you try doing stuff as a woman of color and it has nothing to do with you. And the thing about it is, the critical thing about it is this that I've seen is that the world does not want you to connect with yourself or your people or the entire diaspora. So that's the very thing you need to do. Obviously using wisdom and discernment. We need to connect one to another. We need to establish some things and recognize exactly what we need to do in this time. Prayerfully, what do we need to do in this season, in this time? There's a pressing that's happening. It's a pressing and a pressing and a pressing. There's threats and schemes and things that these evil folks have planned and prepared. My thing for you and myself is, don't focus on the darkness. I'm about to pray, but I need to say this. Do not focus on the darkness. You need to be focusing on the will of the Most High for your life. And what is He empowered and imparted for you to do in this season? Whatever small part or big part you have to play, you need to work towards doing that. Sometime this day, this week, you need to make sure that you are investing in doing what the Most High has called for you to do. Because it's going to make a great impact for the nation and the kingdom. You have to do it. Too many of our people across the board, awakened Hebrews and those that are not, too many of our people are focusing on the darkness, and they're looking to Hasatan as their prophet. They've gotten real good at analyzing the darkness. And then they want to grab you and drag you by your neck, the scruff of your neck, your shirt, drag you. Look, see, look at the darkness. Look at the evil. Look what they're doing now. Look how bad it is. My question to you is, what are you doing about it? What is the Most High call for you to do? Are you praying? Honestly, are you praying? Are you thinking? What are you doing? Are you spending quality time in prayer? Are you pausing to listen to see, Abba Yah, my King Yahushua HaMashiach, what would you have me to do in this season? Doors are closing or doors are opening, and I don't know what to do. I see the need within my people. What do you want me to do? He might tell you to be still. He might tell you to go left. He might tell you to go right. Whatever he tells you to do, you must do it. But what we have to stop doing is investing so much of our time and energy becoming an analyst of darkness. Because then your ears become hardened to the spirit of Yah and become in tune with the spirit of darkness, so that all you can focus on and hear is the voice of Hasatan. You spend so much time watching demonic evil movies and trying to identify aspects of the truth they reveal in their dark movies than it's actually praying and spending time with the Most High Yah. You're worried about FEMA camps, lockdowns, concentration jank, COVID prisons probably or something. Who knows? Whatever they might try to end up doing. This darkness. And it's like, what are you going to do? Because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Unless you allow it. Unless you allow it. Will you be bold and courageous? Will you trust the Most High Yah? Will you pray and seek his face and guidance? I don't care what happens around you. I don't care what falls around you. I don't care about natural disasters. I don't care about vibrating frequencies and laser beams and lightning strikes and none of that stuff. What's that got to do with you? What has the Most High called you to do? And then are you doing it, or are you doing that? Well, I didn't know if that was the Most High or myself, so I didn't do nothing. I'm about to pray, but Deborah, Craig, you have your hand up, and then I'm going to go ahead and pray. Pray us in.
Okay, you asked the question, what happened between those years?
Between, the 1960, 62, and today. That's a question that's a question that everybody needs to ask themselves. But go ahead.
Well, I'm going to say what I believe happened since I was only 10 years old when the Civil Rights Act even passed. I believe technology was one of the biggest things that came in that messed up our children, and integration. Now, that's what I see looking back from what it was like when I was a child. Everybody was married. All our people were married and had families. So to me, integration, Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, May 17th, 1954 passed, and technology. My children were born, there was no technology like that. And then it came along and they stepped through. So to me, those are the answers to that question.
Very good. Very good. And like I said, it's something that we need to each investigate, look and figure out what happened. How did integration affect our communities? How did it affect our businesses? Right? Because I'm gonna talk to my fam out here in the Washington area. You know, I'm not from Washington State, but I've had a chance and opportunity to speak from people that were born and raised here and get an idea of what happened here, especially in regards to gentrification, because Seattle used to be, that was like a Hebrew hub. You know what I'm saying? When you think about jazz music, you think about Washington and Oregon. You know what I'm saying? You saw a whole slew of folks come through, and they cut their teeth out in the Pacific Northwest. Whole slew of them.
Yep.
A lot of these dudes, they got in the military, and the military shipped them all around California up north, and they created little hub spots where they were creating some of the most immense cultural revolution as far as music is concerned. They was doing the most. But then what happened? How did it get gentrified to where now there are no white people? I mean, there's no black people or Hebrews in Seattle like that. If not, they're in the outskirts. They're in Federal Way. They're in, you know, you know, other spots. They ain't there. They ain't Tacoma. You know what I'm saying? Um, they're in the bushes, outskirts somewhere. They got kicked out. And it's sad because I like to support Hebrew-owned businesses, all right, whether they're woke or not. And I went to this coffee shop, ain't no Bruce up in there, like at all. Not even the owner was there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, what's going on here? I talked to some security guards. They're like, yeah, we used to own all these businesses. We used to own all these buildings, and we don't own them anymore. Things took place to basically drive us out. And where's Don at? Don, are you on here? Wake up, Don. Don had told a story. Don went to he went to California. Yeah, I'm trying to see him.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. I got it.
You over there looking real sleepy, you Don. You looking? You was.
No, I was listening. I mean, I was around for.
I'm messing with you, Don. Hey, tell everybody what happened when you went to LA and you went to the chicken spot. You know what I'm talking about.
So yeah, when you go to LA, I mean, you got to go to the Mecca, which is Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And my brother and I go in, and the cat that was at the door, he's like, "Hey, have you been vaccinated? We need to see a vaccination card." So I was like, "Dude, I ain't got no vaccination card. I ain't vaccinated. I'm not gonna get vaccinated." And so he's all right, well, and so we turned to leave, but he kind of got my brother's attention because we're my twin brother. He gets his attention, and so, hold on a second, man. And so once he finished with the people he was with, then he said, "Hey, look, we'll get you in. Just hang on." And so we, of course, went to the side, and 5-10 minutes later, he got us in. And in talking to him, after we finished eating, we were going on the way out the door, and I was just like, on the low, I was just like, "Well, you guys still black-owned business?" And he's like, "We are, but they may be selling." They may be selling. So, we have these like huge, iconic businesses that end up going to these other people, and it's just a shame to see it happen. So he didn't say they were definitely doing it, but he just said, "Hey, they may be," because the owner's getting really old, and he didn't really have anybody that could take over, because one of the kids that passed away that was being primed to take over. The others weren't just interested in taking over. But it just was kind of sad to hear that, hey, an icon in that area may be going by the wayside. So
Hey, tell them again. Tell them who was looking at taking over.
You said maybe some Koreans. So
come on now.
Koreans frying my chicken and fixing my waffles. Oh, sacrilege.
Well, it may not be chicken. It could be cat, could be dog. You never know.
Pigeons.
Oh man, I wouldn't have. Man, I didn't know he was gonna go there. Man,
Squirrels.
Man, that came out quick.
All right.
Man, wait a minute.
That's no lie.
Yep.
You
Wait
just
a
ruined
minute.
Roscoe's for me.
Wait a minute. He's like, man, you can't trust the meat no more. We're gonna leave
Right.
that one alone. Ima Doris, go ahead.
Shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom. My take on what happened was nothing. We were still under 400-year discipline and still partially blind. And so now we are, because of my age, all the things you guys talking about is recycled, Um, where did jazz start? Chicken and the Chinese. I mean, you already might have been eating dog. We don't know. Cause when I was growing up, that's what they used to say. You know, don't eat Chinese food because they like cats and dogs. So yeah, nothing happened between that. The happening is now, in the awakening, and learning to digress from what happened then. Uh, Everything happened just like the scripture's saying, like we're reading, and being um, uh, coming to clarity about the word and who we are. So it was all part of the discipline that Yah said was going to happen, and so nothing happened in those years.
All right, got you on that. I understand where you're coming from and what you're saying in full, and I appreciate your wisdom on that, because it was that 400 years. It was that time frame. Now, for me, I'm not able to fully go there with you to say nothing happened, because we can't act like what happened didn't happen. Otherwise, we're doomed to repeat. Some of us are doomed to repeat the things that did happen, like COINTELPRO, like you got infiltration of our various communities and organizations. We were foolish in how we moved, not really recognizing the depth and level of wickedness our enemies would use against us.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, nothing was, maybe not a good term, but yeah, I'm not saying nothing like zero. I'm just saying the things that
400.
happened were the things that kept us looking at some of those things incorrectly, like you're saying now. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah, I understand what you meant. I do. I was just clarifying and just kind of breaking some things down on that one. I
Okay.
understand what you're saying. Yeah, you're on point. Like I said, I appreciate your wisdom on that, because it's like, listen, we were still under the 400. You know what I'm saying? We were blinded to things, and even when you look at things that we were doing some great things, and to a certain extent, our people knew that we were the people, but they weren't motivated or thinking like, well, we gonna walk out Torah. It wasn't like that. We just kind of knew, without having the absolute proof. We knew something was wrong. We already knew that Jesus wasn't a white dude. I don't care what nobody says. We already knew that wasn't real. You know what I'm saying? We were just you in captivity, you in prison. What you gonna do? This is all you know. You know what I mean? But when you look at what took place during that time period to reset us, and the same thing is trying to be done right now with our youth, which is why it's important for us to speak to elders and imams. We really need to not make the same mistakes that were made in the past. Because even right now in this awakening, and amongst various Hebrews, assemblies, camps, churches, groups, whatever, fellowships, whatever they want to call themselves, you're starting to see some of the same drama and jank that took place in Christianity and the black church. You're seeing the same stuff that's going on with infiltration, right? You're seeing, versions of COINTELPRO happening, right now today. There's a lot of weapons that are formed against us, but we have to move in righteousness in the will of the Most High, and be so in tune with His voice that these things don't affect us like that. All right. I gotta go ahead and pray us in. Where are you at? 1 second here. I want to get your name right. All right, Rami, you had your hand up.
Yeah.
Go ahead and let me know what's going on.
Is this mic on? My mic on?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. It's loud.
Okay. Another thing that we tend not to look at is the level of lawlessness that's actually being exposed to us. Whereas if we go back if we're looking at things the way we just perceive things, we don't see things on the level that we're supposed to see things. But now that everybody has a camera in their hand, everything is being exposed. So now we're seeing lawlessness like water. Another thing that I wanted to like hit on was, isn't there a HIPAA law that stops like patients and the information being crossed out? And I'm noticing a lot of media coverage is all talking about patients who are on their deathbeds, and they're always saying that they wish they had the vaccine and all this other stuff at the last moment. And it's always the nursing. This isn't coming from the family. This is always coming from the doctors and the nurses. Isn't that against the law?
Only if they give your name, address, phone number, any type of your demographics. If it's just a general, these many people had COVID, or if they get your permission to put you on camera, but if they cannot give your information out without your permission. And that's just like your name, who you are. But if they just giving general information, 10 people had COVID, that's not a HIPAA violation.
Yeah, but we're looking at information. But the information that they're showing is like they're actually showing people on their deathbeds, and they're saying, well, this person wants to let the people know that they should have been vaccinated before.
Then they got that person's permission to do that.
Yeah, you're both right on that. You guys are both right. I've questioned myself in regards to whatever happened to HIPAA. It's like that don't matter. I think part of the issue is they're still running game under emergency use authorization. So they're trying to run things as though this is an emergency move. So therefore, trick your laws. We're going to go ahead and do what we want to do under the guise of emergency use, right? Everything that's being done right now to this day is all being done still under emergency use. It's not legal. It's not even, they can't even do it, but they're doing it under emergency use. All right. And then a lot of these things that you're seeing on the media are nothing more than propaganda pieces. So they don't really care anyway. They're like full blown propaganda pieces paid for by the government and other agencies and organizations, foundations, to get you to do what they want you to do. It's a psychological campaign. It's an influence campaign. You know what I'm saying? I don't really watch TV like that at all. Went to work one day. We got this big old screen TV. It's like huge, like 75-inch screen TV on the thing, right? And they put the news on, and it was like CNN. Mind you, I never watch TV, and I definitely don't watch CNN. And it wasn't even 20 minutes, and they were pounding the people hard. I mean, I feel bad for anybody that does watch CNN like that, because the level, the intensity of propaganda, the aggressiveness, the psychological warfare that's coming against your mind is so hard. And I don't think a person that does watch a platform like that would recognize it unless they took a step back and then came back to see. It should be clear, like they're pounding it hard, 24/7, super intense. All it comes down to is COVID and cases and get the jab. In any variation you can think possible, they're trying to pound into you. So they're going to do scare pieces to try to get you and your mama and your grandmama and your cousins and uncles and nieces and nephews to go ahead and get it. You're being programmed 24/7, blasting on you to go ahead and get the jab, to accept what the government's doing. All the different things that they're trying to take away and strip away from you, they're trying to get you to imprison yourself. Straight up. You know what I mean? It's insane. But we have so much we do have to talk about. Let's go ahead and pray, and we can continue to keep going here. All right? So appreciate everybody that's watching online. Again, go ahead and let everybody know that we are here. That means go ahead and hit that like button and share this with some of your family and friends. Let them know that we are on. We're having a discussion. If you want to be a part of this Sabbath fellowship and talk about things that pertain to the house of Israel, you can go ahead and join in. Most of y'all should know how to get in anyway by now. go to HebrewConnect.org/events and RSVP to get the link in order to jump on here. All right. This platform is for the house of Israel. All right. I have nothing against Gentiles, but this is for the house of Israel. All right. So any Gentiles that think they want to hop on and come on through, please don't. Okay. I understand that things happen. You know, there's variations of brown within the Hebrew community. I'm not going to go ahead and do a paper bag test on you, see how black or Hebrew you are. All right. Now, I mean, there's a limit, obviously. You walking up and you a full-grown white woman or a full-blown white man barely hanging on, that might be an issue. All right. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is this platform is for Hebrew Israelites that are awakening, that want to have the in-house discussion about things. All right. All the other nations, I know that you out there watching right now, just stay on YouTube, and we appreciate you. All right. And we appreciate your prayers. If you want to kick out some prayers to the Most High, that's cool too. But this platform is for the nation of Israel. All right. So HebrewConnect.org/events. And let's go ahead and pray and get your heart and mind set on the Most High Yah. Let's see here. All right. I just muted everybody so we don't have no background noise and whatever click-clacking going on. Abba Yah, I thank you for this time that my brothers and my sisters and I had this opportunity to come before your throne of grace, mercy, and judgment. I'm grateful for your healing. I'm grateful for your hand of shalom upon my life and everyone here represented here today, their households, their children. We ask for your guidance in this hour. We ask for your provision in these dark days. We ask for you to strengthen us, that we can remain on the path you have laid out before us, that we can be the light shining in the darkness to our brothers and sisters all over the world for the gathering of the house of Israel. We trust in you and we thank you that you are raising up mighty men and women and children, powerful leaders, prophets, elders, imams, assemblies worldwide being able to come together in unity, love, and fellowship, trusting in you and your Son, our King and Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach. Our King, our mighty Elohim, Yahushua HaMashiach, we praise your name and thank you for all that you're doing in our lives. We thank you that you intercede daily on our behalf. We thank you for sending the Ruach HaKodesh to dwell within us, to keep us on the righteous path. We thank you so much for this day and this hour that we're able to see your salvation manifest in and through our lives and that of our children. Yahushua, I also ask that you keep us, keep our mind, keep us in proper sanity as we see such levels of darkness that cannot be comprehended. Many of us are experiencing serious trauma and grief when our loved ones, many of whom have compromised and taken the jab, they're dying, they're passing away, and we are forced to see our loved ones pass. Many of our elders, many of our imams, many of our brothers and sisters, sadly, are also being murdered in these hospitals. They're being neglected and left to die. I pray that you give us wisdom and discernment on how to live and move in these trying times. I pray that our hearts are circumcised to receive your word, and that our ears are circumcised to hear your word. Anything that's not of you, please remove it. Strengthen our resolve to choose righteousness over darkness. May we have a greater love for one another instead of being self-centered and self-absorbed in this life. May we cast away and cast down all the weights that cause us to stumble in this life. And may we seek after righteousness, choose life, choose love, choose compassion and empathy towards the house of Israel. We praise your name and thank you for this all being done now. I pray this in your name, the name above every name, the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Praise Yah. Praise Yah. There's a lot to discuss and talk about and to go into. We are about to go into a Torah Foundation study. We're going to finish out Enoch, and I believe we're on chapter 10. I swear it's chapter 10. We'll continue on there in a minute. But we have some serious things that we need to deal with. And when you look at the season that we're in right now, there's things we have to address. We have to address our marriages. We have to address how we are raising our children. We have to address the generational issues between us as a people. And as the system crumbles around us, for these people they're trying to tighten the noose. So my perspective, what I perceive, looking big picture, global picture, is there's chaos and agitation that's happening that builds up tension and unrest. So there's tension and unrest amongst all the people on the earth. There's tension and unrest within the actual earth, right? And on top of that, these people are deconstructing all the support systems of society because they want you to be reliant on them and these corporations and what term do I want to use? Empires. Corporations and empires. I'll say it like that. These corporations and empires are colluding together to create a deeper level beast system of control and enslavement. So they're deconstructing everything that's supporting the existing system while trying to implement and move people to a new system of enslavement where you own nothing, have nothing, and are happy. Because you're going to be in your own little bubble cage with your VR headset on, living a virtual life with your virtual husband and virtual wife or your virtual girlfriend. Okay? That's what they want. You will own nothing, be happy in your cage with a VR headset on, trying to plug you into the matrix. All this talk about NFTs, all this talk about the metaverse, right? And make sure you get your digital real estate. That's stupid. There's real estate, not digital real estate. You want me to invest and spend money on virtual real estate. There's all the stuff with cryptocurrencies, and I had nothing against cryptocurrencies at all. But the issue with the cryptos and things like that is it is volatile, and most people's mindset is not prepared for what's needed for investments. So when they see in this, they're freaking out and they just losing money. And another thing that's happening is most people are not that smart when it comes to technology and computers. So I don't care how rich you get in your digital wallet. How many of you guys have been seeing that the moment these folks call themselves cashing out their digital wallet is getting snatched in transit? And some mystical person somewhere then snatched your digital wallet and now you broke. Story after story of people, because they're not really informed on the process of how do I convert my millions I got in digital jank into real world money. And because the system's not really set up, there's no real regulation, and there's 15 different hoops you got to go through to get your money out from digital jank to real jank. It's getting scooped up in transit, and your money's gone. It's literally gone. So there's all these systems in place to try to get us distracted. They're distractions. Okay? You see what's going on in Australia. You see what's going on in New Zealand. You see what's going on in Europe. You see what's happening in the Caribbean. I've had people that have hit me up for vaccine religious exemption letters. And the reality is, especially if you're in the Caribbean, if they're not a Hebrew Israelite, for real, not just saying, if they're not really a Hebrew Israelite tied to an assembly or congregation, and they would try to be like, I'm a Christian and this is my religious exemption move. Most of the pastors in specifically like the Caribbean, they're bought and sold.
Already in.
So they've basically, they recognize that the government came through and said, mandate, nobody's allowed to go to places of worship. You're not safe. You're not off limits. You will be touched, and we're going to do what we got to do. You cannot praise and worship. You're going to lock down. And then pastors got their money hurt. Their pockets was hurt because they couldn't panhandle for tithes and offerings for 3 services every service. Right? 3 times on Sunday, twice on Wednesday. They couldn't do that. Uncle Sam comes through. Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon, came through to your pastor and said, hey, if you want to stay busy, if you want me to let you have your place of worship open, then you're going to tell the people, get jabbed up. So, I mean, there's a strong delusion that's upon the nation right now, of all nations, all people. There's a strong delusion. Many people are psychologically and emotionally traumatized from this COVID experience and the lockdowns, and they don't know how to take it. It's only by the grace of the Most High that we're able to survive and get through this without going crazy. Okay? Because never before has the entire world been locked down en masse, in unison like this. And you're being told you can't go here, can't go there, because the system has locked you down and says you can't do this. You can't go there. You can't visit grandma. Right? So this major warfare, psychological warfare, has been done on your family to where, I know I'm touching on some of y'all. I apologize, but I gotta speak this truth. Right? You got a call from your own grandmama that said you can't come here, baby, because you're not jabbed up, and I don't want to die. Your own grandmama, your own grandfather rejected you, said you are no longer welcome in this house because you don't love me enough to get jabbed. I know people personally that have had that experience happen, and after grandma told them, shut them down, you can't come see me no more, their own mama and daddy said, you can't come, you're not welcome in my house anymore, because if you're not going to get jabbed up, you can't come here. They broke and got jabbed. Natasha, go ahead, please. I'll let you go ahead. You got your hand raised. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Yes, I agree with you, Maury. The Caribbean is crazy. I could speak for Guyana and the Turks and Caicos Islands. For Guyana, everybody, you can do banking, you can go into no government offices. They're not accepting no exemptions letters, especially religion exemption that's gone through the door. But it is more political because Ghana is a very political country in terms of race. It's Indians and black, so it's very polarized like that. So the government is using it as a a mode, the pandemic as a mode to suppress the blacks. And once you didn't vote for them, that's what they're doing, because it's an installed regime right now. And in terms of Turks and Caicos, they are putting it because 90% of their workforce is expats. And so they are making it mandatory for all work permit holders, doctors, lawyers, all the professionals across the board. So you have nurses, and it is affecting the entire Caribbean because most of the persons that are working there is from the Eastern Caribbean. So you have Guyanese, you have Jamaican, you have not much Trinidadians. You'll have some Vincentians because most of the Vincentians are police officers. And so if you want to maintain your job in the Turks and Caicos Islands and you're a work permit holder, you have to be jabbed up. They haven't, you can't get a religion exemption because that is not on the table once you're a work permit holder. So you have families who they decide not to take the vaccine. One wife working, like we said, she's a teacher, and the other one is another profession. And he still has a contract, the spouse still has a contract, and they're not giving the wife permission to stay with the family, with the husband. Even though she decides to come off of the work in order to remain in the country and to get legal stamp based on the husband still legal to work because his contract is not up yet, and so his work permit doesn't need to be renewed yet. She can't stay to tell the wife. The man had to send his wife out the country. So the splitting families, that's the next thing it's doing. You talk about the family, that's where under attack. They are splitting the family. And what they do, because they want to secure the voters base. The voters base is what we will call the local demographic. They didn't impose it on the people. They only impose it on the work permit holders, and the work permit holders are us, the Eastern Caribbean people, who most of us as well, eyes are open, and they call themselves a Christian nation. So if you're a Christian nation and this nation has not granted any exemptions under the Christian banner, so it is really hurting family at this time. People don't know what to do, because even if you go back home, there is another situation you're faced with. Like, for instance, I mean, we're Guyanese, but we lived there for many years, so we're residents. If I cannot go to Guyana because I'm not vaccinated, and I'm a resident, I'm a citizen of Guyana, and I can't go to Guyana unless I'm vaccinated. So Guyana lock out the entire citizenry. If you're not vaccinated, you cannot go to Guyana. If you're a citizen, you're not vaccinated, you cannot go to Guyana. So my family can't go to Guyana. I can only go to Turks. I get saved by being a resident of Turks and Caicos. So residents are not required to have it, and the citizens are not required to have it, only a negative PCR. But if I have to get my work permit to work, I can't work because, yeah, that's how it is. So it is destroying families. When you look at the US, it is, for some strange reason, it's not as bad, like, because, you know, like you just point, sorry I'm taking so long, but the Caribbean leaders are bought and sold. They're sold out. And you know, the Caribbean leaders are all black, most of them. And
Most
they
of them.
are sold out. We are getting hammered in the Caribbean. The US, you guys are not getting as I feel. I don't know. I mean, I'm here, but I feel you're still able to move around. You're still able to get exemptions. You're still able, but the Caribbean is not giving exemptions. Most of us are not getting exemptions. So we're losing our jobs. So like you said, we need prayer. For the diaspora need a lot of prayer. And,
So, thank you for that. It's one of the things that's on my mind heavily, consistently, is ways we can properly connect. my Caribbean family, y'all are on point. Y'all bringing it all out. Walter, you brought it out earlier. The system and how things are set up. It's a very sketchy situation because the reality is this. The leaders in the Caribbean are compromised. They're placed in power by our open enemies. That's how they maintain power. You only stay in power if the Western leaders, the man, what I'm talking about, decide they want to leave you in power. And if they don't want you in power, they're going to try to murder you. If you no longer go along with the status quo and what we want you to be able to do and not do, we're going to murk you. That's what it comes down to. You're going to end up getting shot in your sleep or something, right? That's how they get down out here in these streets. And so the noose is being tightened slowly and slowly. In America, it's the United States of America, maybe not much longer, but it's United States of America. And you have different governors, which are like the presidents of their state, essentially. People don't recognize that, but that's what it is. The governor is literally like the president of your state. And them, along with the local body in that state, dictate certain laws that happen, even whether or not they want to agree with certain federal laws. All right. And so there's certain places you can go to. You're not going to have as many problems. Like if you're in Texas or if you're in Florida right now, along with many other states, you're not going to have as many problems as if you're in California or Washington or Oregon. All right. Or any other leftist leaning state. It's not going to have as many problems as they're going to have. But you also have the other hand issue of employers who are chasing the bag. And because they're chasing the bag, they're going to compromise. So if they want that federal money, which most businesses survive off of federal money. If you want that federal money and the federal government's trying to make it so that every federal employee or contractor is mandated to get the jab juice, then you're going to try to mandate that your employees got to get the jab juice. This is the reason why the airlines buckled in, because the airlines would not survive without being subsidized by the government. Because the government subsidizes and does all their travel in-house with these corporations. That's why the airlines were like, yes, massa, how high? What you want to do? I'll take that jab. I will require all my employees to get the jab, massa, because we want to get that. We want to stay on your good graces, massa. That's how the airlines was doing. And a variety of corporations and contractors were doing the same thing because they wanted to keep that money flowing through. Because some of y'all have seen it. I know even in Africa they've seen it. The government will have international programs, the bag. And if you don't do what they say, whether it be LGBTQ jank, if you're not on that, we pull in the bag. Jab juice. You ain't on that, we pull in the bag or we're going to kill you. Right? Haiti wasn't messing with the bag. Haiti was not messing with the jab. Dude got to go. After dude's dead, country's in chaos. What did they do? Here's 500,000 or a million, whatever it was, jab juices. We can't get no food or no water, no building supplies. We can't get nothing else, but you can go ahead and push some jab juice. Right? You got people that need insulin right now. You got people that need medicines and what's the thing? The EpiPens for the allergic reaction type stuff. You got all kind of people that have general needs right now, that life-saving things that can help them remain a healthy life. Ain't nobody worried about that. Ain't nobody sitting there going, you know what, there is a pandemic of folks with diabetes. We're going to make sure that all insulin is free, no matter the cost. We ain't doing that. We still charging for stuff like that. But we want to push the death juice on you. So it's some serious issues. We got to really figure out a way that we can be self-sufficient, a nation within a nation, or a nation within nations. We're going to have to figure it out, a way to make that happen. Mahali, go ahead, please. You're very low. I don't know why your mic always be low.
I don't know.
I need a booster. Boost your mic levels.
Boost.
Everybody quiet.
I was just gonna say, when you mentioned about the rejection some people are facing, and just our people in general, we deal with rejection. I was really thinking about that. That was weighing on me heavily this week. Just thinking about people, like their families, like you said, grandma is literally telling you, you can't come here because you're not vaccinated, or loved ones telling you you can't come, and be around them because you're not vaccinated. you know it's really the mental, like, break in psyche some people are going through. It's really sad, and that's been weighing heavy on me, like thinking about that, because a lot of people are doing, going through that. You're forced into isolation. Like, I'm in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia just passed, well, on the 17th it became like um, mandatory that if you're going into like any dine-in places, you need to show that you're vaccinated. I think a lot of places aren't following it, but a
Right.
lot of places are. But that's that's what's mandated now in Philly. Any indoor dining place, they need to check that people are vaccinated. Uh, so that's something here. Um, but like I was saying, that's just something, I don't know. I want to, try and reach out to people and help people more in terms of that, in terms of, like, those feelings of rejection and suicide. I know personally, I have one family member who died from getting vaccinated. I have another family member right now. She's in the hospital, you know, really bad condition because she was vaccinated. Um, I have a lot of family members in Trinidad who are vaccinated, and I'm just kind of concerned about them, you know. But it's like nothing. It's nothing I can do. I'm just like, hey, you guys know about the negative side effects, and but it's like, okay, you can't work, and like the other sisters were saying in the Caribbean, it's like they're really hammering people, and they could do it and get away with it because it's like these little tiny islands that
Mm-hmm.
nobody's really paying attention to. They're really suffering the people, and it's like, oh my goodness, like what could be done, because people are mentally, like, losing it, mentally caving in. My mother
That's
was
what it
telling,
is. Mm-hmm.
one of her friends, her daughter committed suicide. This is in Trinidad, because of all this whole isolation stuff and this whole COVID stuff. She committed suicide. She was already dealing with, depression and all that stuff, but when all this hit, she committed suicide. And that's just been weighing on me heavily. It's the mental break people are going through. Yeah.
Mm. So, um, it's one of those things where we're at a pivotal point as a nation, as a people. We're in a very pivotal point that we have to find a way to connect and overcome these situations. Obviously, the core root of everything is we have to pray, and not just hope and wish. We need to actually pray and seek the Most High in regards to what He would have us do, and how to do it. Um, I'm seeing something I don't like amongst Israel, um, and it's done out of a response to what they see, and I don't think that's wisdom. And I'm explaining what I'm talking about. Some of y'all that are at least over 35 may have had enough experiences to see these cycles that happen in Christianity, or these cycles that happen in religion, period. These cycles. The book is the same book yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The script. Okay? But you're going to have people that will cherry pick scripture in order to rationalize what we are currently seeing in this moment in time. Because, last year, it's your greatest year ever. The Most High bless your whole household. It's the year of victory in, payroll, paychecks, and cars, right? It was on that level type stuff. And then when life is whooping your behind and you seeing death and destruction all around you and all types of things, in order to try to rationalize what's happening, then they just go find some throwback scripture to try to be. They're gonna find something that happened way back when and be like, it was prophesied we would be going through these things. It's like, well, what's it going to be? Are we in the year of victory and abundance? Or are we in, butt whooping, tail whooping? What are we in? I think it's imperative that we fast. I think it's imperative that we pray and seek the Most High's face. But I'm speaking to myself, and I'm speaking to all the other leaders, right? And all the leaders within Israel. What is the way forward? Seeking the Most High in regards to what is the way forward. What would you have us to do? Okay? That's it. Point blank, period. And then we have to do that. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It doesn't matter what the enemy's doing. It doesn't matter. What are we being called to do? And then are we doing it? It's important to assess the situation and like what's going on in the Caribbean. So, what's going on in Oregon? What's going on in Washington? What's going on in California? What's going on in Arizona? What's going on in New Mexico for whoever's in New Mexico for some reason? What's going on in Texas? Right? All the different states that are out there. What's happening in regards to the Hebrew Israelite nation, Hebrews, black folks, Negroes in that state? And what are we doing about it? What are we doing? Because you notice there's like this weird thing going on where there's like distractions, sports. We got football playoffs happening, and we got movies that anybody trying to really see like that, right? You have TV shows, and everything is streaming on everything, right? So that's distractions to distract you. Then you have oppressive laws, regulations, mandates coming down. They're planning and priming you to take you to a place you don't want to go. They're hiring for FEMA-style COVID concentration camps, right? So you see you move in a certain type of way, y'all. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? And they're like, no, just go ahead and watch TV and movies and play mobile games, right? And watch Netflix, right? Meanwhile, we're about to crush your whole soul off, okay? And we're going to restrict your ability and right and freedoms to do anything, right? And we're about to snatch this coin off your pocketbook in a minute too, so you got to use the digital jank. And you won't be able to buy or sell anything unless you got the mark of the beast. Unless you in this beast system, baby. Okay, and you go ahead and convert yourself over to the beast system. Go beast mode, juice up till you die. That's what's happening. So what are we going to do collectively in our areas, in your state, as a people across states, for our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean? How can we connect with them and make it so that we can be connected in a way where they're not compromised? I've never lived in a space in my mind where I'm going, well, I got to travel to a whole different country to make some money. I don't fully know what that's like. Now, I'm down. If somebody's offering me some money in a different city or a different state, depending, I'm a move. But I've never seen it where, like in the Caribbean, you have people that full blown will move from one island to the other island just to make some money. No different than you'll have people that will fly from the Caribbean or the continent or Europe and come to the United States in hopes of making money. I know people that are illegal as nobody's business, all right, because they done came through and they're trying to make some money stateside. They got family and everybody back home on the continent, but they will be basically subjected to the most inhumane treatment and abuse being an illegal in hopes of getting some US dollars in this country. We're going to have to break away, be more self-sufficient, and figure something out. We have to move differently than we've been moving in the past. Um, we got to pray and seek answers, but we have to make it. We have to make some moves right now and pray about how to do that. Walter, I see you. Deborah, I saw you had your hand up. Go ahead if you still have something you want to say, and then Walter.
Well, I just wanted to say, pay attention, stay on the path. Abiyah never gives us a spirit of fear. And whatever happens to each and every one of us, it's what he allows to happen. And if he doesn't want it to happen, it won't. That's my message in what you said.
Amen. Amen. Walter, go ahead, please.
Yes, just support you on what you said. It could be done as the lady just said before, and we've all been reiterating, and you have said it also. We need to pray. I was reading this book. I don't know if anyone knows it. It's called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rudd. It's actually Ganges. But one of the things that stood out to me is that in a lot of the African countries and West African countries, before colonialism, especially before 1884, a lot of the, and even after, a lot of the communities were self-sufficient. They produced everything for themselves and they just bartered. Right. One of the things I don't know if we could ever get back to that point, at least for now. But at least but we can, if we start by praying, we will be able to have our small in where, like, we have to be led by the Most High. Nothing that we do can't be without the Most High and His Son Yahushua.
Amen. It's on point. That's correct. That is correct. Very good. That is very correct. It can be done. It just takes the political will to do it. Like, we all have to have the political will to do it. That's what it comes down to. We may not all agree on everything or how to execute. That's okay. But it's better than doing nothing. Like, I mean, we're not going to always agree on everything, but we gotta figure something out. You know what I'm saying? I almost look at it like a Maccabee moment. And those of you that have read the book of Maccabees know what I'm talking about. It's a Maccabee moment. Do you choose to get slaughtered by your enemies, or do you choose to fight and stand your ground and then live? Right? When you look at that Maccabee moment that I'm referring to, neither one of them was wrong to a certain extent, right? On one hand, you had those brews that were like, it's the Sabbath, and Yah's will be done. If it's our will to die, and he let this happen and allowed it to happen on the Sabbath, then that's on him. So I guess they laid down their weapons, and they were like, do what you will. Weep out of here. And they got slaughtered and they got burnt up and they died. And then you got the other brews that saw what happened, was like, wait a minute, what? Okay, yeah, new rule. We can defend ourselves on the Sabbath. We don't let ourselves get slaughtered and beat down just because it's the Sabbath. Because if nobody fights, then we all dead anyway. And how's that going to fulfill the promise of Abraham? We all dead. Both of those choices were accurate choices. You were not in the wrong to be like, do what you will, and you're not in the wrong to be like, you about to get these hands. All right. So each and every one of us have to make a decision in regards to what do we choose to do. I'm about the hands personally, so just so you know, I'm in that camp. I'm in the hands camp. I'm down with laying the hands on folks.
All hands all day.
I'm with you, Moray.
All the hands. Let me go out fighting and swinging and stuff like that.
I prefer the AK. I'm gonna preserve my hands. I prefer the AK.
He said, I prefer the AK. Hey, you think she playing? She really strapped up. Ema Vicky will pull out a strap on you real quick. Annie too. Annie will pull a strap on you real quick. Stay on their good side. You know they got that heat. Eat my heat. Mm-hmm. Piece of steel. Mm-hmm. But no, in all seriousness, it's something that we have to really ask the question. You know, many people are losing their jobs. Many people are underemployed. Many people are concerned about health care. They're concerned about, even if I did have health care, do I want to go and deal with it? Not really. Right? We're concerned about self-sufficiency and being reliant upon these folks that are, obviously, they're determined to destroy. Still kill and destroy. So we have to make some hard choices in the near future. I would ask for all of you, this includes myself, over the next two months, couple months, to plan for the next year. Plan for the new year. Plan for the new year as a whole and plan in quarters. All right? Meaning in quarters, plan for March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, right? Plan. All right? That's what it comes down to. We need to really plan and plan our future outside of this system. One thing I know that we need our own healthcare system. We need our own health practitioners, right? We need you. You professionals, we need you. And in every aspect of life, we need you to have the political will to serve with your people and to serve your own people. That's what it comes down to. That's where we're at. That's what it comes down to. We have to have the political will. I see the struggle in regards to the political will of our people. I see it in general, but we have to get past that. The ultimate answer is we have to have the political will to choose to deal with our people. Do business amongst our people. Barter amongst our people, right? Because the main thing comes down to services and goods, right? We ain't talking about all this extra stuff that's out there. We're talking about necessities, right? Services and goods. I need to get my yard done to secure it properly. Who has the services to make that happen? Somebody might have the skill set to go ahead and deal with that, right? I know people in our assemblies that can do the landscaping type stuff, right? You may have certain goods that they need, like food. You may have some rice, or you may have some fruit, or you might have a garden, and you can go ahead and exchange your goods for their service, right? You need to get your house repaired. We can barter and exchange. Well, I do plumbing. Well, I do roofing. Well, I do electrical work. I do landscaping. Well, I do plasters. Well, I do flooring and carpets. You can make something work. You can make something happen with that. You know what I'm saying? I know how to survey land. If you wanted to be like, listen, okay, we might need to go ahead and get some land here. There's about 50 acres for sale. We can come together and get this land, unincorporated area, and figure something out. At least for 3 families, or 5 families, or 10 families. And we could build something out there and leave me the hell alone. You know what I'm saying? There's a variety of things that you can start doing and collaborating and thinking upon. You know what I'm saying? So we have to really, the next 2 months, we have to really be praying about a way forward that's separate from the system, because I mentioned it before, and we're seeing it unfold every week, every day, that Hasatan will take you 50,000 miles away from wherever you thought you'd ever be, where you would even imagine you'd be where you at. Okay? But he does it inch by inch, one step at a time. Degree by degree, he's going to have you way off into the sunset somewhere you never thought you'd be. All right? and we can't compromise. So now they're talking about we're not going to mandate the jab. They mandate the jab. 2 shots and you're done. Fully vaccinated. Will fully vaccinated, the definition change? Maybe. What do you mean maybe? Don't worry about it. Then it's fully vaccinated with a booster. What the hell's a booster? What is the boost? Is that like a Jamba Juice boost? What are we talking about? So if it didn't work the first 2 times, it's gonna work a 3rd time? And if it didn't work a 3rd time, it's gonna work a 4th time. Now you're talking about a second boost? And then it's even worse than I thought. I didn't think that's even possible. I was thinking they talking about like a shot every 6 months. These jokers talking about you got to get jab juiced up every month. Do y'all hear me? Do y'all hear me? They talking about getting jab juiced every month. That's when you know the house of town over the top. Every 30 days, they want you to get jab juiced up. And they're already talking about, again, because, you know, they lying, and I can't stand that line. I'm going to stop. I can't stand that line. Because they talking about that whole, oh, Pfizer's been approved by the FDA. Really? Why are we still under emergency use authorization? Because if we got something that's been FDA approved, fully suited and booted, why are we still under emergency use authorization?
Exactly.
Why are you still allowing other corporations that have been rushing to get their jab juice out? Why are you even allowing them to still even be on the market? If you've approved, vetted, it's all good. Pfizer's the business, go get that. Why are these other companies still allowed to even talk and have anything out there in the marketplace? And then why are they talking about Moderna's going to have a combo vaccine? You know what it is. It's a fluoronavirus vaccine. That's right, fluoronavirus vaccine. It's going to help you with the flu and the Rona. Double jab at the same time.
You can't make this up. Can't make it up.
So we're going, and it's okay. That's how y'all moving. And they want you to get jabbed up every month. And then they got the quote unquote variants that are popping off, that in many cases is a common cold. But it's knocking these folks down, and they're doing the Wakanda forever. Come on, man. So now they're recognizing, and there's a report that came out, that those that have been vaccinated are actually worse off than the unvaccinated. Surprise. Go figure. When it comes to all these additional quote-unquote variants, unvaccinated people are, 13 plus times more effective at warding off new variants and diseases than folks that have got jabbed up. Because guess what? You hijack your immune system. You know how cold piece it is? You let the devil, House of Time, go ahead and be like, hey, you know that immune system you got? Yeah, go ahead and press the delete button. Go ahead and hit that delete button. I got a new version for you. I made it myself. It's good. Don't worry about it. It's good. So you deleted the immune system that the author of life gave you. You just murked it. You wiped it off like clean slate. And put on some third-party jank. You put some malware on your system. You put on some self-destructed 90 days on that. That's what you did? Yeah. And now you can't even fight off the common cold? Come on, man. So anyway, the challenge for me, this is the challenge for me right now, and I'm praying. I need prayer on this one too, and I'll be praying for y'all. The horrors that we're likely going to see is challenging. All right. And I'm praying for you because many of you may have family members. Many of you may have family members that have taken the jab. You already know what it is. And there's many others that have taken the jab. And there's going to be an increase of deaths. Like it's going to be like ridiculous. Okay? Because when you have virologists warning within, I'd say 120 days, they were warning from the jump. They were warning against pushing out these vaccines and doing the most, right? They were warning. They said, wait a minute, we gotta take our time. We gotta, hey, hold on now. Okay? Because if we do this wrong, we're going to destroy the immune system. And then the body will not be able to defend itself against even the most basic illnesses. And y'all's in the lab. Y'all basically use this thing as an excuse. You use this lab leak jank, man-made chimera jank. You use this to do a worldwide experiment on humanity. So I need everybody to understand something. We saw this before, and then we'll move on, but we saw this before. All the scientists that have worked with mRNA technology have told us that when put in certain living animals, all the animals died. All of them. When they mess with this mRNA jank in animals, the animals died. It didn't end well for them. And so yet they fast-tracked, in less than a year, they fast-tracked and slam-dunked the entire global population, especially impoverished, broke folks that are in third-party countries that got weak political systems, right? They just slam-dunked the people and just jabbed them up. And we've already seen some of the reactions that people have had. The neurological problems, the nervous system is all shutting down. You got issues where bruising and bleeding and blood clotting stuff, horrors that you only see in the movies. And sadly, if the movies didn't prepare you for it, you'd be truly horrified beyond measure. You know what I mean? I saw some woman that had blood clotting out of her nose. It was just pouring, oozing out a big glob of nastiness. And it was something out of like a poltergeist thing or something like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Your body's corrupted. It's gone. And so a lot of these folks have said within 2 years, these folks, at the most 2 years, these folks are going to be dead. At the most, within 2 years, they're gone. And the thing about it is the human body can take a lot of abuse. Like it's amazing, right? You've seen people, they abuse their body for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, and then they finally die. But they abuse the hell out their body. Smoking, drinking, drugging, they abuse. Their skin is all the stuff, imperfections is coming out their skin and stuff like that. All right? So the body's fighting and holding on. You've basically injected a man-made chimera poison in your body. And it's turning you. And your immune system is fighting and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And your body is in strain mode 24/7. Strain. Which is why they're all fatigued and they all running low. And why you have sports stars, celebrities, famous sports heroes of today that are clutching their chests, collapsing on the field, dying for no reason. Okay? Some of the world's greatest athletes can't even perform no more. Right? They got to retire now. It's a wrap. A lot of folks are being injured, but they're being silenced with hush money or threatened in their life that if you say anything, we'll kill you. Or we'll destroy your whole life. Or we'll leak. We'll basically we'll bury you. Like, we'll silence you, mute you. You'll have no voice on social network. We will ban you on all the platforms. And then we're going to put out something crazy that you did back in '88 or something. When you was trifling back in the day, we're gonna put that out there to tarnish your name, right? So people are getting injured, they're being destroyed, and they're not saying anything about it. You're gonna just slowly see them fade off, and they're gonna be like, so and so died today, and that's it. They're retiring from the game today. It's a tragic situation, but we're likely going to see in the next 6 months to a year a rapid increase in deaths. Like some of your coworkers, they ain't gonna make it. I mean, they coworkers, but they ain't gonna make it. Sorry, Bob, you gone. Jackie, you gone. And so, what's the response or reaction going to be in regards to that? These increased deaths. You have to blame somebody, right? And they're likely going to try to blame the unvaccinated. If you would have only just joined us, if you would have only just came on through and been like the rest of us, then we would have been okay. But because you didn't, you're the reason, you're the fault. Put them away. We're not going to deal with these folks like that. We got to deal with our own people. We got to cry out and pray to the Most High Yah. And also, lastly, it's one of those things where we cannot attack one another. So all this strife in between the Hebrew assemblies, all this beef in between that Moreh and this Moreh, and I don't like that dude, I don't like her, and who she thinks she is, has to stop. You got to stop. So let's get into the script. Let's get into the script.
Can I share something?
Yes, you may.
I don't know where my hand is, so I can't raise it up. So, but I just want to share that we as the body in Mashiach, I just want to encourage us that we're not to follow that voice. We're to follow the voice of the Most High. We let this media and all these evil principalities and the powers on high and those things that transmit, they want us to fear, whereby we let our faith get diminished. And so our bodies, our bodies, we're not made by men's hands. We're these supernatural creatures, and He's made us. And so when I imagine, Abba Yah, that, when we were born and He made us and He looked at us, and we were to be a reflection of His glory and who He is. And that is why we were born, to bring Him glory. So we're the salt and the light of this earth, and how we do that. I find a lot of times that we give so much direction to the media and this C word more than we do to the voice that should be coming down from heaven to earth. I know that sickness and disease is here, but we have the power. We have the power in us. And, and if it says that we are made well by our faith, that means we have faith to faith. I have faith in Messiah who died. He made us well. So if we attach our little mustard seed faith with the faith of the Messiah, we will do well. And sometimes I think, do we put Him to shame by, when I think about that verse, that we're not to follow, my sheep hear my voice.
Yep.
And we recognize the voice of the shepherd and the voice of a stranger. That's the voice that we're not supposed to be following. And I know that we walk around in these earth suits, but I'm telling you, the power that is in us, these evil principalities that I know, they want to have control over us, and they want to keep us in fear. And it says in the word that we're not to be conformed to the ways of this world, because we're not of this world. And I want our ears need to be towards heaven and not with all these distractions, in this media, and we're not supposed to follow those mediums. And if you think about it, I've been raised, we turned a long time ago. I remember it said, tune in, and I never gave it thought, but it said, tune into your regularly scheduled program. The enemy was telling us what he was doing, and channeling, we're not to be doing that, but he comes in with all these disguises. So I just want to remind us who we are and what we're listening to, You know, because I don't listen to a lot of that stuff either, but I want to know what's going on, but we're not supposed to let that navigate us. So be encouraged.
Man, listen, that needs to be a biblical quote. We got to put that in the book of Denise right there.
No.
Listen.
Praise Yah.
Do not let that navigate you. Like I said, because there are many brews that I've known and seen over time that they can't wait for the next demonic movie to come out, and they're the first ones watching that nastiness.
Mm-hmm.
They're the first ones watching filth on Netflix or watching filth in the movies, and then want to report back to you the darkness. And on this scene, this would happen. On that scene, this would happen. It's like, and listen, they got a dopamine high. They on some other stuff. They so juiced up and excited to tell you about some dark movie, some evil movie that just came out. And it's like, you speak more on this wickedness than you do on the Most High and what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? When I look at your content on your platforms and on your channels and your whatever, your Instagrams and your TikToks, what are you talking about the most? You know what I mean? Part of the reason why HebrewConnect.com is not like some of these other platforms, because I'm not pushing like the darkness move, right? That's not sexy. It's not sexy. It's not sexy to be like, I want to build with my brother and my sister. Let's build a community. Let's go ahead and start a business together. Let's go ahead and let me break off some small business loans to my people, right? That's not sexy. You know what I mean? I want to see some booty shaking. Like my sister Destiny said, I want to see them cheeks. I never forgot that, Destiny. I was shaking my whole head for a week after you said that. Right? That's my little sister, though. We good. Man, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we want to look at the darkness. We want to see the darkness. We want to see death and destruction and mayhem and just ratchetness. And then, you know, because Hebrews are going to be 100 with it, why do we got to be the most, we got to be turned up. We got to be the most turned up when it comes to darkness and ratchetness. We going to go be 100. We going to be full-blown 100 in the darkness trying to, like, listen, we going to be the most gangster LGBTQ person on the earth. My lesbianism is going to be the greatest thing in my life. It's like, you chocolatey black. Okay? But don't care about that. I'm a lesbian first. I'm gay first. I'm bisexual first. Right? Meanwhile, these wicked systems are using your anointing as a Hebrew Israelite to further their cause. And you so thirsty to be accepted by somebody and your open enemy, you allow yourself to be used. You allow your body to be violated. So you out here hoeing in the street, hardcore. You go, I'm the greatest hoe of all time. I'm going to get all the followers like Kim K. The greatest hoe of all time. I'm going to be the best stripper possible. I'm OnlyFans. I just found out about the OnlyFans thing. I was like, what the hell's going on? OnlyFans. I'm just going to show my feet, y'all. I'm just going to show my feet. It's just my feet. Nasty. You need a whooping. Grandma, get the switch. Grandma, get the switch. Grandma, get the switch. You need your behind beat. Nasty on the internet. You need your whole life snatched off. I need to make some money. I'm going to beat. Ooh, y'all. Praise y'all. Listen. We can't be in these streets wilding, man. We gotta stop, man. Y'all online in the comment section, you hear what I'm talking about? Stop being nasty. Nasty selves. What the hell's wrong with y'all? On the OnlyFans doing the most. Come on, man. That's sad. That's base level. That's low level. What are you doing with yourself? Come on, man. That's embarrassing, man. But we always be trying to pimp ourselves out for acceptance from these other nations. Please love me and accept me for who I am. and they're not. They're not. So we have to deal with us, and we got to do right by each other and the Most High. Like, come on, man, that's a commandment, y'all. Don't carry my name in vain. You represent me. Out here wilding in these streets, man. It's like there's so much we got to deal with. So I likely will come on again, either tonight or tomorrow, to speak on some other issues and things. We have so much to deal with. So much. Before I get started with our scripture, we're going to be in Enoch chapter 8. So go ahead and get your Enoch chapter 8 out. Let's see here. Next Sunday, not this Sunday, but the 30th, there's going to be a conference that I'm going to be a part of. All right. Me, along with several other speakers, will be doing a conference. So I want to share the information for that. So give me one moment. Let's see if I can get this going. All right. Those of you that are not on HebrewConnect.com, you're missing out and you're slacking. What's going on? Go ahead and get your account started and create it on HebrewConnect.com today. And what happened? It's a long post. There we go. Let me share my screen. At least attempt to. Why is it looking like that? There we go. All right. So this is HebrewConnect.com, and there's going to be the Healthy Minds Conference. All right. And the theme of this is moving from pain to peace. All right. So it's going to be Sunday, January 30th. All right. And there is an event page on here with details of the event. All right. So we have myself, we have Jill Chairs, we have Emmanuel DeLee, we have Ema Patricia Brady as facilitator. We also have the wonderful Gail Gillespie as the host. All right. So again, we're going to be dealing from moving from pain to peace. All right. So I wanted to share that with you all. Let's stop sharing my screen. You can also go to HebrewConnect.org and you can RSVP there as well. It's going to be from 10:30 till whenever on Pacific Standard Time, West Coast time. 1:30 if you're Eastern Standard Time. All right, got that out the way. Let's go ahead and again get into the book of Enoch. We are still dealing with Genesis 6. All right, we're dealing with Genesis 6 and the fallen, the watchers that fell from grace, fell from right standing, fell from righteousness to defile themselves with the daughters of men. And they began to teach all sorts of darkness and evilness to mankind. So, again, we are in the book. So the picker for work, R.S. Charles. All right, those of you that are signed up on HebrewConnect.com on the event page, you have the information for this book, how to get it, with all the notes and goodness inside. And we're going to pick up right where we left off. I think I'll go ahead and start off in chapter 7, just to recap the last thing we read, and then we'll go on to chapter 8 through 11. All right, so it goes on to say, It goes on to say, and all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. Let's see here. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. That means they started to cannibalize and eat mankind. And, man, these folks is wicked. They began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. They began to cannibalize each other. They began to attack all the acquisitions of life. They hate life. They are the most evil and malignant beings in existence. All right? And just doing the absolute most. All right? It goes on to say that then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication. I'm going to stop right there. All this sexual perversion and like wickedness that's out there, I don't know what that's about. I mean, I guess the root issue is still going to be dealing with sexual fornication, because they looked upon the daughters of man with lust in their eyes. They looked upon the women with lust. They had fornication within their hearts. Now, when you look at the history of the giants, I don't care what culture is speaking on the giants, they always talk about how, one, you're going to hear a few things about them. One, majority of them were white. Not all of them were white, but the majority of the giants were white. They had red hair. They had blue and green eyes that made them look crazy as hell. In books, everybody's like, you can't look them in the face because they look crazy. Now, we used to seeing these crazy looking folks because they've been here as long as we've been here. That's all you grew up with them. Wheat and the tear. It is what it is. But imagine being a natural man, woman, or child, and you seeing these crazy looking folks for the first time. You see that phenotype for the first time. First off, you big as hell. That's the problem right there. Secondly, why is your eyes green? What is we doing here? What is this? Why is your eyes green? Why is your eyes blue? What am I looking at right now? I'm scared out my mind right now. So that's the issue right there. Okay? Then you hear about them eating people. Right? Jack and the Beanstalk. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Right? I want some blood. Where you at? I smell a human. I smell some flesh. I want to eat you. That's a kid's fairy tale story, and that's nasty. They always want to cannibalize somebody. They're trying to eat your soul off. Right? That's a problem. What's the other issue they got? I'm raping everybody that moves. I'm raping everything. Period. That's how they get down. I'm taking everything. I'm taking everything. So, especially, this got to be 100, when you look at the history of white European people, they're not really European, but you look at the white Caucasian, Central Asian people, right? And you look at what went down. Every variation you look at, it involves giants that went and raped women, and they are the byproduct of that mixture. That is a horrible story. But that's their story. I didn't make it up. I didn't write it. They wrote that about themselves. When you go back, trace it back, get past all the historical jank, and you keep going back, it's going to go back to, yeah, his mama got messed up by an angel with blonde hair or red hair, something crazy. Like, that's the deep thing. Genghis Khan, the Mongol, was a white man with red hair. And it's in written historical documents that when he saw his grandson did not have red hair, he was like, whose kid is this? Because all them folks were white, they had red hair. But see, in the TV shows and the movies and the artwork, they're going to show you an Asian looking dude. But if you know where to look and you peep game, they'll show you the true dude. It's a white dude with a red beard. And then most people don't know that his mother was a Nestorian Christian. She was a Nestorian Christian, and it said that his father, or the father of the father, was like some angel dude. It was like some supernatural dude. Basically went in unto his mother, and he was born. And the father that raised him wasn't really his father. It was like just some dude that took on his wife and him until he got killed. And then the rest of the story goes on. You know what I'm saying? And then you think about it, the Mongols were never defeated. They just kind of disbanded, dispersed, and took on new identities. If you look at the history, the Mongol people were never destroyed. They were never defeated. They conquered everywhere they went. And then the last aspect of that is that the Mongols are Gog Magog. That's a deeper level issue. So it's a lot in that to read into with these folks and how they get down and all this. But it's crazy. They commit fornication. And they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Samyaza taught enchantments, root cuttings, Amoros, the resolving of enchantments. So now I'm going to enchant you, and then I'm going to resolve the enchantment. So we got all kind of witchcraft going on. I'm going to show you. Let me open your third eyeball. Come here. Right? You got all that going on. Give me the crystal rock altar. Bring me that crystal stone. All right? Shake it up 5 times and say this chant move. Right? So you got all that happening. Barakiel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Arakiel, the signs of the earth. Signs of the earth. Shamsiel, the signs of the sun. Sariel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. All right, what are you guys' thoughts about that? You can combine chapter 7 and 8 in regards to that. And that goes to you guys that are watching online. You guys in the comment section. What are y'all thoughts? Go ahead and put something in the comment section. And go ahead and raise your hand. Mayala, go ahead, please.
You know, my thoughts on both of those chapters is that if they had never left in their first estate, the chaos, the lawlessness, the abominations would have never occurred. Mm-hmm. But due to all of that, they've passed their abominations onto man. And even though I think they didn't give him everything, but they gave him enough to cause the downward spiral and into depravity as man has gone. That's what I look at when I see that.
That's deep. That's deep. Pass it to mankind. Oni, go ahead, please. Oni and Ducey.
Hey, shalom, everybody. One thing I wanted to point out is that a lot of things that seem to be normal practice and normal place in culture now were introduced by the fallen That's why it's important for us to have discernment and be walking with the Ruach, because things that people think are innocent and that seem innocent are not. They have some really dark roots. So we have to be walking with discernment and be walking with the Ruach.
Tell it. Ona, you got something?
I do see.
Okay, there we go. Destiny, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say that they didn't love mankind. They didn't love Yahushua's creation, because if they did, they wouldn't have done that. And they definitely didn't fear him enough, because it's like, how is it that your estate is in the heavens with the Most High, and like, you know what he does and who he is, and even if they weren't like really like right there in front of him, like they knew, and they had no shame whatsoever, and they did not care about us. There was no loving your neighbor.
Not at all. And you bring up a good point. My wife had brought this up too, and just in regards to breaking this down, they had no fear of the Most High. They somehow thought that they were going to get one over on him. They thought that they would be able to commit this atrocity and that it would be cool. That'll make no sense. Sherelle, go ahead, please.
Oh, word.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question and an observation. So my question is with regards to the Watcher Azazel, who made making of swords and knives. So did the Most High intend for us to be using metals as implements to help us with our original work, or is it that the intention was for us to use other natural elements in our work? The other question too is, if it is that this was his job as a watcher to teach men how to use the metals, did he use it with negative or wicked intentions to harm and hurt, rather than for us to use it to help each other to feed and house and clothe ourselves? So that's the question. The observation is that, especially for us as women, I'm hoping you can hear me. The observation for us as women, beautifying of the eyelids. I was practically done with makeup when I read this.
Got it. All right. It was very challenging to hear what you were saying because your mic kept going in and out, but I got the gist of what you said. Let me try to remember everything you said because it was fading in and out pretty bad. So the issue was that we were taught things out of order. It wasn't under the direction of the Most High and the season of the Most High, right? And so, though, when you look at the script, and we'll continue going on, it breaks down how these things weren't meant for man like that. The things that were taught were not meant for man like that in that season. It wasn't meant. So they revealed secrets to man that we were not prepared to know and should not have known at that point in time. Meaning, some of us have children. You want to protect the innocence of your children for as long as possible and to mature them gracefully into adulthood and maturity. Okay? You don't traumatize them with knowledge of things ahead of its time. All right? Because if you do that, it is going to cause trauma. It is abuse. And there's going to be a certain level of trauma that is expressed in how they behave and move. They don't have wisdom or maturity to even handle something like that. And the motivation was malicious in intent in dealing with mankind. The beautifying of eyelids and things like that also is in regards to the deception. It's about deception. um, the illusion, the things that you're able to do in regards to makeup, right? And it's not like just like general beautifying makeup. We're just talking about like disguises, like full on disguises and
Okay.
deceptive move. Um, it's like I can't go too deep into it, but even on the level of like espionage, you see the spy films. You know what I'm saying? The person got the red head wig on, and she killing everybody, and then takes the wig off, and then the makeup jank, all right, to show her true form or self, right? All these things are designed for cunning deceptions, right?
Mhm.
Seductions, right? That's what it comes down to. The Most High is not against you beautifying yourself, like being ornamented to a certain extent. He's not against that. And we show you in the script, throughout the script, it's not an issue. But when the motive of your heart is wrong and impure, and you're concerned about the external versus being righteous before the Most High, he's like, I got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Daughters of Zion, you're haughty. You're doing the most. You wilding out right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's a problem. So it's not that you can't like be clean, smell good, and look nice. The Most High don't want nobody walking around looking ratchet.
I understand. I understand. That's why I said practically,
Yeah, yeah, no,
practically,
yeah.
done. I mean, I think people we should be polished and enhance our natural selves. But the extent to which it's being used to in a deceptive manner, as you said, to create a whole new look, which it's not you. It's
deceptive.
Yeah.
And it's about the motivation. It's about the motivation.
Yeah. So that's the aspect of it which I'm done with.
Yeah, yeah. But to elaborate that for everybody else, the deep level is like when you look at what happened with our people, which I think is probably, when I look at the weight of Scripture, one of the most pivotal aspects of our existence is when we turned our backs on the Most High to go after Moabite women. Like Numbers 24 through 28. Like that, I think that's the most pivotal piece for us that messed us up. Like that right there in the history of Israel is such a foundational issue. You got Balaam going back and saying, get the most beautiful women in your nation and have them decked out in the finest apparel, smelling good, their hair done, they smell like yes and amen, and send them down there to go flirt with them Hebrew boys and seduce them and do all the things to have them in an enraged state. Okay, they on some other level stuff. Okay, and when you know you got them, pull back and reject them. And let them know that the only way you will be with them, because the Hebrew men were like, girl, you so fine and juicy looking and tasty looking. I will do anything and everything for you. What do you want me to do? I want you to be my wife. That's what Israel was doing. We was lost our natural mind, was like, oh my goodness, do you see these women? All of them is fine. We want all of them. And what happened? They played them. Because all that, top shelf, Moab, top shelf, the finest wine, sent down there to flirt with the men of Israel for the sole purpose, deceptively, to say, you must forsake your Elohim if you want to be with me. It was done for that purpose of deception. That purpose of deception is what went down. That's a problem. Marianne, you have something you want to say? Go ahead and unmute.
Mary.
I can unmute for you, maybe. See if that helps you out. Where'd she go?
Send her an unmute button and it'll be large on her screen. She can't push the little unmute thing. So if you send her a request to
I did
unmute.
that. I did that. Let's see if she can get it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm thanking the Most High for opportunity to be here finally.
Praise God.
It's been a long time since I've been trying to get on here. But as I listen to the story, I find it hard to understand because these watchers, these angels, they had first hand at the power of the Most High, and all he knows, how could they could even, think that they can do this stuff and it not be known?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they knew his power. They knew what he did with Satan and his army. Amen. So,
amen.
It's amazing.
Very good. Very good. It is something that makes you question, like, man, what was going on with them? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make no sense. All right, Deborah Craig, go ahead, please.
Okay. What I got out of that was that they were trying to corrupt all the best and everyone that they could against Abiyah, teaching them all these fantastic things like technology. And so they could take over his position and place as is their goal in the first place. That's what I got out of it. And that's it.
Very good. Very good. All right, my dear sister Kathy. Go for it. Go ahead, Kathy.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. What I got out of it was after all of the corruption and diabolical nastiness that was going on with what they were doing, they were so drawn to the metals and the knives and all the mechanisms that were being made. I'm sure they probably made things that tortured humans probably also. Mm-hmm. And that's probably what has kind of been brought into the different civilizations over the years, and mainly torturing towards the Hebrews, put towards the Hebrews to torture us. But in that sense too, it reminds me of how certain nations are so drawn to knives and metalwork. I never understood that. I don't know. It always amazed me of how they would have shows on television actually producing these big these big knives and what these knives would do. And I was like, what do we need that for? What's the use of it? But it goes to show that it's in their DNA, that it's being passed down. And another thing that caught my eye was at the very end of the chapter. It said that after they did all of that they cried out, and their cry went up to the Shamayim. So it's like, was that the ones that were perished? Was that the men that perished cried out?
No, that's all of humanity, men, women, and children that were just destroyed. Everything that went down, because you have to understand, and you can look at other nations too in their history and their artwork. It became where the position's out of order. You have these principalities that were sent to watch. They were sent to really teach judgment and righteousness in the order of Yah to their nation that they were responsible for. Right. That's all it was supposed to be. And it became a perversion. And then they themselves wanted to make themselves Elohim on that level. They wanted, I want children in my image, is what happened. And then you have this destruction. So you have them lusting in their heart, and they want to produce, like, I want to produce children like man produces. Mm-hmm. So they change themselves to be able to do that, because they have the ability of changing shape and form. How the Most High does that and all the organics of that, not my problem. But they have the ability of doing those things. And they went unto the daughters of men, They took them, produced these beings that were now what you would consider demigods. These are hybrid children that are half mankind, born of a woman, born through the womb, and the fallen. You fell. You fell off. You defiled yourself. You were never appointed to do this, and you did it anyway. It's an abomination. You should have never been able to do that, but you did it anyway out of order, because within your heart you thought to do these things. Then on top of that, you want to go ahead and corrupt yourself, defile yourself, and defile my creation that's made in my image? And you want to teach them these things? And then you want to fornicate with my creation? Right? And you want to do, and now it's chaos. Because you've taught them things that was not, it was out of order. It was never meant to be on that level.
Right.
You know, there's an order to things. Like when it comes to Adam and Hava, there was an order, there was a plan for them. There was an original plan for them, right? And we fully don't know what that original plan entails. We will know in the end, but we fully don't know. You have Adam and Hava, and they're in right standing with the Most High. And there was an order and a plan that was supposed to unfold, but it got corrupted and messed up. And so we spent all this time basically trying to right the wrong that they started back in the day. We are the remnant of those two people that were made in the image of Yah himself, the word of Yah.
Hallelujah.
And all the way down through our lineage, we are the remnant of life. Everybody else is a corruption. It's not no be whatever. It just is what it is. Everybody else is corrupted man and chaos and destruction and evil and wickedness and defilement. And you got a remnant. Most times like, man, how am I going to do this thing? Okay. Hide myself. Okay. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, 12 tribes. Just going to sketch it right there. All right, we could do that right there. And then I'm going to put myself right there. Do there. Do the woman right there. Okay. And then from there, I got you. Restore. I'll sacrifice myself for my people to restore both the entire house of Israel back to myself. My father. Kodesh. Okay. And I need y'all to be on point. Y'all fell off all this time. I don't know why y'all fell off, but you fell off. But I need a remnant amongst the house of Israel, both northern kingdom and southern kingdom, to get back on track. To get back on track and keep moving forward. Because you got to be the example to the other nations, so that if any are called out to serve, they will see the example through you. Whoever can make it. But I got to have a remnant of my creation. Everybody else is bad fruit. They got to go. But whoever in this remnant is good, and whoever cleaves to the remnant, okay, we'll be all right. There got to be a path. But they messed it up. They messed the order up. And so that's the reason why we're the most hated on this earth. No matter where you go on this earth, the Negro, as they call us, the Bantu, the black man, woman, and child is the most hated on this earth with no friends or allies. All right. I got to keep going. Let's keep going, and then I'll get back to you. Leave your hands up, Mayala and Mahalia. Just give me a moment here. We're going to move on to chapter 9, and then we'll stop there. All right. It then goes on to say, and then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, and again, those names mean something, right? And we'll talk about that briefly. All right. They looked down from the Shamayim and saw blood being shed upon the earth. I'm going to stop right there. Let's look at that again. Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel looked down from the Shamayim and saw much blood being shed upon the earth. What does that make you think of when you see and read that verse? Go ahead and raise your hand. Mayala or Mahalia, if you have anything you want to say about what I just asked, you can go ahead and just chime in. But this is to everybody. Destiny, go ahead, please.
With heavenly things, and then I don't know, the cry of wickedness, like the cry of the people on earth was so loud that they looked down.
Good. Rami, go ahead, please.
that they looked down and they actually saw that mankind had turned to the most violent crimes of all, war. War was being produced on Earth for the first time, which caused major pools of blood. Like when Cain slew Abel and his blood cried out.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right. Ema Doris, go ahead, please.
Well, it reminds me of the scripture that said, God said through one of the prophets, I saw you polluted in your own blood, and I began to take care of you. That's what came to my mind. And I had asked myself that question recently about what did he mean by he saw us polluted in our own blood.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good.
Can I
Denise, go ahead,
jump in?
please. Yeah, Molly, go ahead, please.
After listening to that, I was thinking, with the blood, them seeing the blood, it's like, and everything you read before too, it's like, I'm thinking in my head, like they were looking like it's happening again. Like we know there was a destruction, there was something that happened where the Most High, there was chaos and darkness on everything, and then, took the land out of the waters again. So I was just thinking like maybe it's like, oh no, it's happening again. And like thinking of Noah when the Most High destroyed everything, and then even with Moshe when he told him, I'll destroy everyone and make a nation out of you. And then leading it down again to us today, instead of the Most High just completely destroying, again, it's like, okay, you guys are going to go through this suffering so that you can be made perfect. So seeing all the, the blood on the earth and all the corruption that came, it's like, instead of the Most High destroying everything, destroying everything again, it's like, okay, this creation who is like me, they're just going to have to go through the chaos to be, to be renewed, to be made perfect again.
So I'm following sort of. So you have Cain and Abel, and you have an exile. So that's almost like a warning shot. I should just murk you right now, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm going to put a mark on you. Hit the streets. You out. Then you have this situation with the fallen, and they defile man. And this is, again, right before, listen, even in all this, I'm going to give y'all 120 years to repent. And that, obviously, that 120 years came all the way up to that last Sabbath. You got that last Sabbath to get your life, and they didn't. And it was a wrap. They got destroyed. Now, to go through the chaos like you're talking about would be applied to Noah, Shem, Ham, Yafet, and their wives. So that would be going, in this situation, going through the blood and the chaos and all that. That would be the case. But everybody else got destroyed. They got murked. They got the flood. So that's where we're at right now in this situation. But very good insight. Denise, go ahead, please.
Yeah, the verse, excuse me, reminds me of what's going on right now. And I always think about 1,000 years is a day to the Lord as one day. And that blood is still being shed today. And I believe that's why all the, the judgment is being done on this earth.
Yeah, it needs to be more judgment, honestly. It's so over the top. Everything that's happened, it needs to be worse often than what it already is. But that's my own personal opinion. Anybody else in that section right there? Crystal, go ahead, please, and then we're going to keep going. I'm sorry, Annie, go ahead, please.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. I was thinking about looking at those verses that Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down and saw man being destroyed by other beings. That's what they were looking at is we got to go down there and help the human beings that are being destroyed by these other beings. So it wasn't necessarily us destroying ourselves, that blood was being shed by them against us. At least I think is that what was going on? They were eating us and eating animals and eating everything. And
so they were consuming the entire earth like
yeah,
we see happening today. And nothing's off limits, nothing's sacred, nothing's holy with these folks.
Yeah.
They don't care about life, about nothing. They on that level. Like, if we really saw the mask off of these folks, we would be absolutely horrified. We would either kill everybody or die in fear. Like that. If the mask was fully off on the wickedness these folks are capable of, even the softest, kindest woman would be like, "Give me the AK. We got to put we got to put these folks down. They wilding over here." If you truly saw the depth of darkness, again, your mind can't comprehend the devil. The devil in these folks is so wicked. Nothing is sacred. Man, woman, child, baby, animals, nature, air, water, the earth, the sky, Yah himself. Like, these folks nothing is sacred with these folks. They on that level of corruption, abomination, and destruction, and evil, maliciousness. They don't care. Like, nothing is sacred. Nothing is sacred. And what's sad is that you see that in so many different groups. Sadly, even Esau Edom is on that level too. Like black Negro Esau Edom in Africa doing some crazy stuff that's not even like, where'd y'all come from doing some stuff like that? Like you never know the level of hatred somebody has until you see some of that stuff. That's going down. Because they were being influenced by this darkness and wickedness. Mayala, go ahead, or Crystal.
Okay. I just had a question when we were going over chapter 8 and 7. And it's just that I was thinking, because you were talking about how they decided that they needed to have children too and procreate and all of that. So my question would be, do you think, since I don't know if they knew or not that Mashiach was going to come through a woman and be born. So was their pride, arrogance, I'm sure it was, all balled up with these angels, with these watchers as well, thinking, well, if Yah could send Yahusha down to come through a woman, why can't we also have our seed come and go through a woman as well? That was just my question.
So the scriptures do infer that's the case because people don't recognize it. Mashiach spoke about this in the New Testament. The parable he spoke was about how the owner of a vineyard went to sleep. Servants went to sleep. And while they slept, an enemy came in and sowed what? What did they sow? Tares.
The tares.
Tares among the wheat.
Right. Right.
Right here. Mashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach was talking about this right here.
Okay. Okay.
An enemy came in and sought to sow tares among the wheat. And then you had the servants of the master, of the husbandman, come to the master and say, what? We're going to find out. Let's jump into this. Hold on, Crystal. I'm going to finish reading 9. It goes on to say, and then Michael, Mikael, Uriel, light, the light of El, the power of El, right? Raphael, Gabriel looked down from the Shamayim and saw blood, much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. So, Annie, it's a little bit of both. There was bloodshed and warfare going on between mankind, right? Because you fighting to survive, you fight for scraps, and these jokers is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's running around on some other stuff, right? That's what's happening. All right. Give me 1 second here. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's deal with this. So you have Mikael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from the Shamayim and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their cryings up to the gates of the Shamayim. It's a lot in there. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. All right, man, what are your thoughts on that?
I think because there is the cries and the blood is actually a witness, like a testimony against the wickedness, and in order for righteous judgment to be upon the evil one, it's I had it in my head earlier. In order for the righteous judgment be upon those that cause this wickedness, the blood has to cry out. The seeing the blood and hearing the cries is what the Raphael, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, they have different functions. And I think sorry about that. I think with their with the four of them being in their functions is to bring forth righteous judgment against the wicked. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, it came out right. We have to kind of reconstruct it a little bit, but it came out good. I understood what you're saying. So yeah, it's very interesting that they said to one another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their cryings up to the gates of the Shamayim. So there's gates or portals to the Shamayim, and they can hear the lament and cries of the slain upon the earth. The cries of the slain make their way to the gates or portals of heaven, of the Shamayim. And then it goes on to say, and now to you, the holy ones of the Shamayim, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. So you got people in their affliction, and they're being slain, crying out to the holy ones, the righteous ones, the sons of El, crying out, bring our case before the highest. There's a lot to that, because again, man, this thing is so crazy what was going on. Like, bring our case before the highest. These abominations came through. They've taken all of our acquisitions. We've served them. We've given them everything we got, and that wasn't enough. And when they took all that, then they turned against us. And after they ran us through the earth, and now we over here almost buried off, then they turn on each other. These are the plague of the entire earth. These are a plague of all of humanity. That nobody's safe around these folks. Nothing is safe. Bird, beast, man, nothing is safe with these people. Miala, go ahead.
What I was gonna say is where Shlomo says nothing new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are again in this time period of this same thing that happened back then is happening now. The same thing.
Yes, I can't. I mean, because it really is as the days of Noah were. We in that thing.
Right. The same thing's going on. So praise Yah, he's going to come with a vengeance, but it's the same thing that's happening again because there's nothing new under the sun.
I got to keep going. I'll get you Mahali in a minute. It goes on to say, and they said to Yah of ages, right? Lord of lords, or Adonai of Adonai, El of El, King of kings, El of the ages, the throne of thy glory standeth unto all generations of the ages. And thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou. And all things are naked and open in thy sight. And thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel has done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets, which were preserved in the Shamayim, which men were striving to learn. And Semyaza, to whom thou hast given authority to bear rule over his associates, and they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, gigantes, hybrid folks. Man. And the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of the Shamayim. And their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass. Thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them. And thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regards to these? Then the Most High, the Holy and Great One, spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, Go to Noah, and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is in it or on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again Yah said to Raphael, Bind Azazel, hand and foot. Cast him into darkness, and make an opening in the desert. It's really the desolate place. All right? Which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on that day, the day of the great judgment, he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin. And to Gabriel said Yah, Proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, the children of the watchers from amongst men, and cause them to go forth. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall they not have, and no request that they their fathers make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers, or on their behalf their fathers' fathers, for they hope to live and eternal life, and that each of them will live 500 years. Yah said unto Mikael, Go, bind Samjaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and the prison, in which they shall be confined forever. And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear. And it shall prove a blessing. The works of the righteous in truth shall be planted in truth, and joy forevermore. Then shall all the righteous escape, and shall live till they beget thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age shall they complete in peace. And then shall the whole earth be tilled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees, and be full of blessing. And all desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it. And the vine which they plant thereon shall yield wine in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown thereon, each measure of it shall be 1,000, and each measure of olive shall yield 10 presses of oil. And cleanse thou the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all ungodliness, and all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth destroy from off the earth. And all the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations, or the whole nation, shall offer adoration, and shall praise me, and all shall worship me. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment, and I will never again send them upon it from generation to generation, and forever. And in those days I will open the store chambers of blessing which are in the Shamayim, so as to send them down upon the earth over the work and labor of the children of men. And truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world, and throughout all the generations of men. All right, and I'm going to stop right there at 11. All right. And let's go ahead. Mahalia, go ahead. What are your thoughts? And then we're going to close out.
I wanted to touch on, like, when you mentioned the portals, how, you know, that there are portals. And we know when Saul was king, you know, the first king, and he called on one of the witches, and she was able to bring up Samuel's
his spirit.
His spirit. You know, I'm thinking today too of, you know, all the technology, and like the Ema was saying before, you know, the tuning into, you know, your TV programming and the different channels. And, you know, it just got me thinking, what are, you know, with all the new technologies and stuff, you know, the different portals that they're trying to access, or maybe have already accessed, and how, like, just like how the angels were looking like, yeah, what should we do? It's like, do you think, it's kind of like a question too. Do you think, like, you know, the angels are like, yeah, you know, what should we do? Because we see, like, we're literally living in it's crazy. We're living in these crazy times, like the
Mm-hmm.
days in war.
Right.
You know, it's scary, but all my faith and trust is in the Most High, is in Yahusha. But yeah, that's just what I'm, kind of like a question.
Yeah, I'm excited about the whole thing. I mean, it's crazy that we're living through this, but I'm excited because they're about to get this stick. It's about to be amazing. It's about to be amazing. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, we just have to stay steadfast in our faith, maintain integrity, don't break down. You're gonna feel real stupid if you break down and be like right around the corner. It's like, oh man, I should have waited out a little bit longer. Yeah, man, come on, man. If you better get some discipline now, some self control, or some holdout or something. You better figure something out, cause we right here. We in that last generation. It's a wrap. It's over with. Like
And that blows my mind. Sorry. I'm like we're literally in this time. Like I
let's
try
do
to
it.
do that to my mom especially. I feel like I'm always trying to like hammer it in her head, and she's still kind of like, in La La Land. But I'm like, we're literally in this time. Like, can you not comprehend that?
Hey,
Yeah.
just pray, keep it pushing. That's all you can do. All right, we gotta close out. Sonia, go ahead, please.
Hi, I have I'll try and keep it to two questions. The first one is from chapter 7 to 8, where when the angels or the watchers started doing their corrupt deeds towards mankind, right? From the first inception when they started, why didn't mankind cry out from that point? Or why did they wait until after all these abominations and these chaotic things happen to start crying out? Or did they cry out? Or is that timeline now, just asking, why did it wait until all these things started to happen before they cry out to the Father? And the second question is, out of all the watchers that committed they had their different crimes or stuff that they did.
Right.
Only Azazel and Shemyatsa was recorded as being bound or in prison. Is it that the other watchers are still free, causing a lot of chaos still, or are they bound as well?
So there's more to it. There's destruction. They're all bound, and we'll get into the further details of what ended up happening. We'll get into all that in the future. So I can't go into that right now because we got to shut it down right now. It would be a whole another hour going into all that. But there's fallout from what took place. There's an aftermath of what took place. There's an aftermath to it. Even in the judgment, there's an aftermath to the whole situation, which is a challenging situation to deal with. So, yeah. But there was a crying out from the beginning. But just like anything, it's like the crying out has to get to a certain point. The Most High is seeing everything and kind of recognizing what's going on, and at the appointed time, it's in the Most High's timing, not ours. He acts. You know what I'm saying? Even when it came down to the archangels, right? Doesn't mean that they were angels themselves, but they were heads over the angels. We're looking at the whole situation like, hey, we see what's going on. We are hearing what's going on. The cries are coming to us to bring our suit to you, Most High. What are we to do? We serve up before you as an aspect of you day and night. We serve you and we do bidding in your name. You tell us to go here in my name, and we go. So what you want us to do about this? Because I'm seeing all this craziness and you ain't saying nothing yet. So they saw all this and they went before the Most High and brought the suit of man to the Most High and was like, what you want us to do? You know everything before it happens. What are we supposed to do? And then the judgment happened. All right. Oni, go ahead, and then Oni and Ducey, and then Doris. Doris.
I just thought it was interesting that Yah did not make a move until the Malachim came to him in 9:14. And I was curious about Ducey explained to me that Azazel is different than Lucifer, but I was in 10:6 and 10:15 wondering if that was the time period when Hasatan is shut up. But he said that Azazel and Lucifer were different entities.
So we'll get into all that in the future, but it's important to break down the names and the meanings of names, right? So you have Satan, you have devil, you have Lucifer, right? What do all these names mean? I mentioned before, we'll have to go into another time, but let's break down, what does Michael mean? What does Uriel mean? We know that Or is Hebrew for light. The light of El is the meaning or the name, the breakdown of the name of Uriel. Some people say Uriel, but it's Or. Or is light, the light of El, the light of the power. And you look at their functions and what they often do, is pretty cool to see how they move and things like that as well. And then you have Raphael. What is the function of Raphael? What does Raphael do as an aspect of the Most High on the earth? Like, what does he do? How does he move? Gabriel, what does he do? Right? Their functions, aspects of their function and authority in their name is pretty cool. So we'll get into all that kind of stuff to break all that down, because you're going to look in variety of places and hear about these malignant, malicious entities that have different names. So you have Mastema, that's one. You have Azazel, that's two. You got Samyaza, that's three, right? And we'll get into all the different aspects of how they are, and also how they're connected. So we're going to do that. Doris, go ahead, please.
Yes. One of the things that came to me as everyone was speaking and through the scripture was eternity, everlasting. And since humans were made in Yah's likeness, but then it was corrupted, and the angels are also eternal beings. And when they left their function and combined it with man's function, that to me is why it seems like it's taken so long in comparison to when we're reading, even when they said, why haven't you done anything? Because he knows they're eternal beings, and his word is going out. It's going to do what it's going to do within that time that he said it. Also, that's the spiritual, quote unquote, intellectual part of it. But the other part was like how we used to watch the movies, and as we see the end, and our hero is about to win, and everybody in the theater or in the home is just, yay, go! That's what I thought about as you was reading that, and the same thing that you said too. Is like, I'm just excited because y'all just revealing who he said he is and who he said he made humans to be, and it's taking all this time. And then you think about Revelation, where it says when Yahushua comes, that he's going to speak with the sword of his mouth and destroy mankind on the earth. And then he talks about the blood up to the horse's bridle. And I used to think, wow, where's that coming from? But now, I mean, it just, you get an understanding from the spiritual aspect, is that also when Yah says man is just dust, a vapor, all those things, and help you understand that he's not speaking from an emotional standpoint like we think emotions. And so how could You know, you have people say, you know, how can and they use the term God, how can a God allow these things or do these things, you know, even in Revelations. And as we read, even at the end of Revelation, you still have those mankind, those people who just determine to defy his orders, shaking their fists at him as they are being consumed. So, I mean, yeah, it's just exciting. And like you said, you know, hey, I'm not the, I'm enduring, trying to endure every day, every
That's it.
moment until, because he's told us what the end is going to be. And he told us who's going to be in that if you endure.
Yeah, be faithful, endure, and keep moving.
Yeah.
We're about to see this work happen. I'm excited. Cheryl, go ahead, please, and you'll be the last one.
Okay, it's just interesting for me that in the end, we are all going to go back to our first work. The Most High is always sending us right back to the land. We have to plant it. We need to produce. We need to eat. We need to take care of the earth. We didn't do it willingly. We were sent back, you know, with whips across our backs and chains and shackles and collars and bells and all these things. And in the end, we have to go back. It's in chapter 10, verse 18. The whole earth shall be tilled in righteousness. And it just brought home the point, which I didn't think I made very clearly when I asked the question regarding chapter 8 about the metals. The mining of the metals, how you access it, it's always with some kind of wickedness. You have to dig and bore and rip up the earth and tear down the trees and cause all kinds of chaos and mayhem with the chemicals associated with the ore. And when you look at archaeological finds, these arrowheads and knives which were stone. So it got me thinking, that originally our tools were to be of natural, elements easily harvested and found, and we utilize it for our benefit rather than ripping and tearing up the earth to get the elements and the ore for these metal work and metal crafts. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting that we are going back to the land. And it is best if we do it willingly and voluntarily than having to be going through these iterations, these cycles of being forced and whipped into it. That's my thought.
That's very good. One key thing to bring out, though, in light of that, everything you said is on point. We weren't whipped and beat because we didn't want to farm. You know what I'm saying? We were whipped and beat and went through all this whooping because we rebelled against our Elohim. And we're like, we want to do what we want to do, and we want to be like the other nations, and we want to serve other Elohim that aren't Elohim. And so everything you produce, everything you touch, you're going to actually be in the field working and grinding, and not for your own benefit. It's going to be for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? The woman of your youth and your love is going to be in the arms and the bedroom of another man. You know what I'm saying? Your children whom you love and long for are going to be ripped off from your hands, and you're going to look long with your eyes, and they get ripped out and gone and sent in the land of a captivity. You'll never see from them again. Like, because of our rebellion and disobedience to our Elohim. You know what I mean? So it's imperative that we humble ourselves and truly repent within our hearts and for the sins of our own sins, the sins of our foremothers and forefathers and our ancestors, and be that true remnant that remains. We got to be that true remnant that remains. That's it, 100%. All right, that's it. I'm done. Got to go. I do want to show one little clip here just to highlight that everybody kind of knows what's up. They just don't talk about it like that. With the whole fallen ones, Nephilim, and even this whole thing when it comes to what we just read about in the book of Enoch played out in a movie. Several movies and obviously written literature and books and stuff like that in regards to what I call the Nephilim Wars. And that's a war between the descendants, the remnant of the fallen, those that when they made it and had children, These were half human, half, Malachim, and they were eating up all the acquisitions of men, and then they began to fight each other. And then you see the judgment the Most High was like, they're going to kill each other off? Like, just kill yourself. It was a wrap. They start fighting each other, right? And so we read about the Titans in mythology, because, we were all forced to read that janky mythology from back in the day that these folks want to claim as their history because they're the descendants of the gods. All right. They the descendants of the gods, y'all. That's their people. All right, let me share my screen real quick.
They told on themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sorry.
None of you will leave this place.
All right. So I'm going to stop right there for right now. So this is an artistic representation of the Book of Enoch, where you have two sides, two groups. One is one is white and gold, the other one's dusty, black, and ashy. All right? They are literally the same people. Just one is considered gods, and the others are considered titans. And this is a literal depiction of that war between themselves that was commanded by the Most High Yah. It's a wrap.
Leave here! This is no longer your fight!
All right. That's a wrap. I'm sure it was entertaining when it was really happening. They was eating popcorn in heaven like, yeah, go ahead and do your thing. But, yeah. That literally is an artistic representation. It's a good movie, but a horrible movie. I wouldn't recommend watching it. That movie is old, so I saw it back in the day. But it basically is highlighting the Book of Enoch breakdown. You long for your children. You desire for your children to live a long life, 500 years. Okay? But no. They will destroy themselves. And that's where the mythos of the war and the Titan War, the War of the Titans, the Clash of the Titans came about. Those were hybrid Nephilim folks that were turned against each other to destroy themselves. So, just let you know, this stuff ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no fairy tale. These things really did happen in antiquity, and that particular situation took back before the flood, during the time right before Noah. You know what I'm saying? This whole situation. You know what I mean? And it's a lead up, basically, from that time of Enoch until Noah, and the Most High was like, I'm done. 120 years to repent. And they didn't. And so, man, woman, child, bird, beast, and all the abominations of the earth were completely wiped out except for Noah and his seed. And so we'll get into Noah, his seed, and the flood next time. And we will also go into the restoration of humanity through the bloodline of Noah. All right. Love you all.
Can I ask a quick question?
It better be very quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, the answer is not for today, but I'm hoping you can deal with it later, either next fellowship or sometime later. The quick question is this: did you speak of the giants being in historical records, always being represented as white with red hair.
Yep.
Did the Most High do this way as an identifier or a mark to distinguish, make a distinction between them and the melanated?
I'm not certain. I think it might just be a byproduct of the abomination. Not trying to be whatever, but it's a byproduct of the abomination. Meaning these two were never meant to be. It was never meant to be like that. But when you mix that thing out, they're not natural. It's not natural. Like natural man was made in the image of Yah. And through that, with carbon, melanation in them, you produce naturally. You take an abomination that was never meant to procreate with mankind, you get something, what? You ain't natural. Your body can't produce the natural melanin that should be produced in you as a natural man, as a human. You ain't human. You are hybrid. You're a remnant of hybrids, which is why you remain having these different traits within you to this day. And it ain't healthy. So you have to every so often breed back into natural man.
Just like the white
They
chickens
know
and the white pigs and the white rats.
They know they have to breed back into natural man. Otherwise they'll be destroyed. Okay, see, you messed up, Sherrill. See? All right, so so then you start dealing with like, I'm gonna say vampires to keep it PG. The vampires, right? We just call them sexual vampires, right? They prey on certain people just to tap into that genetic energy, to pull that out, to allow them to survive longer. By themselves, in and of themselves, they ain't gonna make it. They're not gonna make it. So they have to keep dipping back into that genetic pool of humanity to survive. Because left to themselves, they would die off or kill themselves, and they wouldn't reproduce. They would be gone. Oh. So they literally have to tap back into the natural bloodline, and then they can regraft back out into themselves. So, because there's white people right now that have the genetic makeup and ancestry of Hebrew Edomites. You also have Hebrew Negroes today that love the vanilla, and they doing the most. You got white people, they full blown white people, that their ancestor is a Hebrew. Full blown, right? Some of y'all got whited out grandbabies to this day. You holding a white baby in your hands right now. That's a full blown white person in your hands. You're like, what happened? Your grandson or your son got with this woman and had a white baby. Especially with the stuff they're doing with vaccines, they shutting your melanin off too. Man. So they have to tap in order to preserve themselves. That's it. All right. All right, y'all. Gotta go. Much love to you all. If you're not on HebrewConnect.com, figure yourself out.